So, which course is better for me? BA.LLB, BBA.LLB, bcomllb, bswllb. I was just researching on the internet, not about which one is better, but looking at a myriad of videos which are there on the internet. And I have few geniuses who are speaking things like BBA.LLB is only good for you if you want to do corporate law, BLLB is only good for you if you want to get into judiciary, blah, blah, blah. And believe me, having taught students of both BA.LLB as well as BBA.LLB, I was kind of having, I was kind of feeling that, "Ye kya ho raha hai? What is happening?" As in, with what authority are people speaking like this? So, no offense to anyone. I think I'm going to stir a hornet's nest after putting up my opinion here. But believe me, I think I have a right to say the same because I have done BA.LLB from a national law school, and I have taught students both at BA.LLB and BBA.LLB. And presently, I'm teaching students of BBA.LLB subjects of BLLB like sociology and philosophy. Okay, I'm doing that. So I think I do have a certain level of a leverage here where I can be a bit more right than many of those videos which come up on the search engine in YouTube. So here is my version. To be very frank, at the end of the day, both of them, as in not both of them, as in all of them, in fact, are a law degree. So when you graduate and you reach in front of a layman, you'll be called as a lawyer. By default, you are a lawyer. You do not become a corporate lawyer just because you have done a BBA.LLB. There are so many BBA.LLBs who are also going ahead and cracking UPSC and even judiciary. I have a lot of students who have cracked judiciary who are from BBA.LLB. So there is no hard and fast rule about all these things which people are speaking about, right? So if you ask me what was the story behind it, I would rather go to the extent of saying that probably the great push which this course was getting, the law course, the 5-year integrated program was getting. So people and Bar Council of India decided that let's come out with a new with a new nomenclature, to be very frank, because BLLB was something which in a way was also affecting students like me. For example, I was a commerce student. So when sociology was introduced to me in BA.LLB in the very first trimester of mine, I was really a bit shaken because it was very difficult for me to adapt to all those theories which were being taught to me. But then I remember going to a senior and asking him, "Ye sab kyun padha rahe? Why are they teaching me all these things?" To which he made a lot of sense. He said, "See, they're teaching you in sociology about society. They're teaching you further in political science. They're going to teach you about state, as in how the term state came into being, not state of Madhya Pradesh, etc. State means the government, as in the governing council." So he said the theory of all these things become very important for you to understand the basic structure of constitution when it will be introduced to you. So all those sociological concepts become very important to you when you even learn international law. You're getting it? So he connected the dots very properly and he said, sit down and listen to each class in such kind of with such kind of a thought process that these are going to be important to me because I'm a law student at the end of the day. Study of society and study of human behavior is something which is going to be very important to me. And that really stuck here. And I was like, yeah, what he's saying is right. And I remember in a BLLB class, in a class of sociology, I was being taught about types of marriage. And again, I was like, why are they teaching this? But then the self-reasoning part of mine had reached that stage where I decided that no, probably this is important because we'll also be taught about marriage laws. You're getting it? History classes. Now, that's how I start. Before I start any class, I go to the extent of explaining my students about how common law was evolved. You know, the common legal method was evolved and how it was introduced to India, how Britain came out with this specific law, about Bill of Rights, about Magna Carta. I go to the history part of it and only then I start with the legal class, even if I'm teaching a BBA LLB class, because that lays the foundation of it. Right? And that's how a commerce student like me adapted to what you call as a BA.LLB. And today also in my classes, most of my reasoning when I put across, for example, I was just discussing about feminist jurisprudence with my students in my last class. And I had to go back to the days in Britain where even the electoral rights were not with the women. And then slowly we connected the dots. We tried to reason out that how feminism happened, about a certain incident which happened in England where a woman had to, the woman was not killed, but she died because she was protesting in front of the king. She was protesting in front of the king that we also need electoral rights, and she was trying to put a scarf on top of the king's head, and she was just mauled down by the horse. So why am I discussing it here? I'm trying to reason out, and I'm trying to tell you that when a student is doing BA.LLB, he, through those theories, is basically being introduced to all those things which lays a foundation of how legal systems or how human behavior evolved. I hope I'm making sense here, right? And that's how I started understanding law better, if you ask me, even though I was a commerce student. So how was BB.LLB then introduced? That's a good question. And now many students, I'm 100% sure, I know how your brain works. Many students would start thinking, I also want to do BLLB because what he's saying makes sense. I also want to know the basics of everything. But then, things have to keep on improving. Things have to keep on going one step ahead. And it's not because for corporate law, BB.LLB was specially made. BB.LLB was specifically made with a totally different reason. And it's not like BB.LLB students do not read all those things which I was discussing here. Jurisprudence is a part of BB.LLB as well. History, though not, is a part of BB.LLB. But if a student does not read history, it does not mean that he is not reading history at all. Because when he sits in a BBA.LLB class, and even if he's reading a subject called as principles of economics, or else he's reading something about corporate accounting, he's not taught in the same manner what a BBA, a plain BBA student or a BBA economic student is being taught. He's taught like a law student. He's being taught the history part of it, that how things evolved, why corporate accounting it is, what kind of corporate accounting should be known to a person who is doing law in that specific branch. And there is no stopping. I know law schools today who are even giving electives, like our law school. We are giving electives. I teach as elective where I'm teaching sociology and philosophy to BB.LLB students, and I have a packed classroom. I have a good number of students who attend that class, and they're interested to know these things. So when I'm teaching them from the perspective. So when I'm teaching the feminist students, I do discuss about sexual harassment at workplace. You getting it? I'm talking about the glass ceilings which have been made. You go and search this word, glass ceilings, because I think law aspirants should also know all these terms. So that's the way it is. It's not like they are creating packets, watertight compartments, and they're saying, okay, corporate lawyer, he has to be a BB.LLB. No firm recruits people like that. The simple example, or the testimony, in fact, of what I'm saying can be seen that the maximum number of corporate lawyers today we have are from national law schools, and many of the national law schools, say NLS Bangalore, which is like in Bangalore itself, it only has BA.LLB, right? So now BB.LLB students are also there. They know a specific thing. The only advantage that I see with a BB.LLB probably is that when a student is a graduate of commerce, he finds it a bit easy for the first 2 years. I'm telling you, all these subjects are only for the first 2 years. So be it your BBA, BCom, or BA, they're only for the first 2 years in your life, in those 5 years, and that to two subjects each. And that too taught to you, not like a BCom student or a BBA student. They teach you, they know that you are a lawyer. And that's exactly how they teach you. So I remember even in my BLLB, there was accounts class taken by a very, very sweet professor who used to come and teach us. And he knew that there are students sitting inside this class who are from humanities. He knew that there are students sitting inside this class who are from, from even sciences. So I remember that was one of those classes which I used to bunk because most of the things which were being taught, I knew it. So I would go to the professor and I say, sir, whatever you're teaching, I know it. So he was like, what do you want? I said, I have a project which is pending. Can I sit and can I type that because I don't have time otherwise? And he was such a sweet guy. He said, are you sure you'll be able to able to clear this paper? And I said, yes, sir, I'll be able to. To which he used to say, okay, jao, you do it. And then he was teaching these kids. And believe me, they used to score as much marks as us because they did not go into deep. On the other hand, even accountancy was taught to us from the perspective of law. So if you are a lawyer, where does accountancy come into place? It's very simple. Accounts are prepared by CA, but at least you should have the knowledge to check whether the CA has faulted, because there can be a client of yours who will bring some records which he would want to see, would want you to see and check if they are right or not. Probably there's a merger on the card. You're getting it? So don't get baffled by all those videos. They are like actually scary for me. There's a lot of misinformation which are going around. So I just want to clear it. There is no difference between these degrees. It's upon your preference. Very simple. You want to do BB.LLB, commerce students, you have a better way of doing it because you can read all these things. You know, you have already done those subjects in your 12th. So probably you may have a smooth run. But again, this guy in this video is a living testimony that even if you do a BLLB after commerce, it's not going to affect you. At the end of it, to summarize, I want to be very clear. It's called as law school for a reason. Have you ever thought about it? Why do they call it as a law school? The reason behind calling it as a law school is they see you as a guy who's very naive, who's very new, who's coming down, and they have to teach you everything from the scratch. So even the curriculum is designed in such a manner that they'll teach you everything from the scratch. So don't be tensed about what course you are getting enrolled to. Go ahead. At the end of it, after 5 years, you are going to become a lawyer. But yes, you have to give respect to each subject. You cannot just say that, okay, this is BA subject, BCom subject, I'm not going to learn. And plus, even if you are a student of BBA, you must make efforts to learn a bit of subjects from BBA also, because the more you learn, the more you will be able to grasp things. BBA students should also read a bit of a theory from, say, political science, and they are all available on the internet. Now internet has become so accessible. Use it for better things. Okay, I hope I've cleared it. The confusion which you guys have, and if you have still some doubts, do reach out to me. Okay, I'll be more than happy to clear this, because I remember when I was into the prep field, I had cleared this doubt very clearly, and during my time there was no such confusion. I affirm, there was no such confusion, and I used to tell students, go ahead and embrace each course, because at the end of the day, as I said, you will be a lawyer. Okay, all the best, guys, and please don't be confused. This confusion is something which you should get rid of. Okay, ciao, bye.